it's like no one wrote in the obituary, she had a great mortgage. You know, no one wrote that. No one remembers your mortgage, but they remember if you're a good fuck. So, hello, my name is Tom Rasmussen, and I am the moment, apparently. I am 31, and I'm a musician and a writer, and we are in my landlord's living room. I've had oddly like a few careers. I trained to be a vet for 3 years, and I hated it. And it was also at the same time I was like finding drag, and like Lady Gaga was about, and everyone was like, if you've got blue hair, then you're gonna be free. And so then I came to London with a group of friends who were drag artists as well. We gigged, and obviously that was not enough financially to sustain anyone. And then I started writing, and it was before the days where really you could like, you know, call out a publication on Twitter and be like, at Wonderland, you haven't paid your invoice. And so I wrote thousands of free words, and then I released my first book while performing in drag, and I went solo in drag, and then I quit drag. It felt, looking back, like I'd come up with this formula that I could then go and do a sellout show and work with mid-brand who would pay me. And I get it, people need to be paid. But I had to ask, like, why is this the way that I've chosen to get paid? I had done one job, which I won't say what it is, because like I'll probably get sued. But I was saying something and I was like, this is a lie. And it wasn't that bad. But I was like, I'm lying to camera. For what? And it is not for liberation. It was for myself. And that is just Thatcherism in a wig. I love Celine Dion the singer. I grew up obsessing over her. And this is Celine Dion, the terribly trained English Bull Terrier. She particularly doesn't like sort of like middle class, like posh families, which I'm into. I'm quite like, get 'em, Celine. I'm always like, Celine, no. And then I'm like, good girl. The move from east to south was nice. South is like greener, and you can dip into east. But we've been there a long time, and I like, to bring it up, like got quite badly attacked on my doorstep in Limehouse. I think just after that, and after like so much that had happened when we were young there, it just was quite, I don't know, this house came up south and then we just moved south. I'm not saying that there's no homophobia in south. So this album I wrote called Bodybuilding is all about trying to leave behind conversations about violence. That's where it started. I'd spent so much of my career talking about violence, and so much of my writing talking about things I've experienced as a queer person. And while I think it's valuable, I definitely have more to say. And so I sort of wanted to be like, right, this is like a closing of the loop on my 20s, which was like running around Dalston, getting beat up. I do not always have this here. This was just given to me, actually. The images are by Tim Walker. The album's really about the ways we build ourselves up, probably as queer people. And that's, I guess, what this was. It was like built onto my body and trying to present as something that you just don't feel inside. In this case, it's like strength, when really you're just all these like mashed together parts. Like there's a section on it that I think of as about revenge. You know, bloody, violent revenge, because we're never allowed to say that, because people can talk about killing queer people and trans people all the time globally and here. But the moment I say I want to kill a cis person, which I don't, but the moment I say like, what if it was reversed, then it's like I'm proving the point that everyone's trying to make, which is that we're like dangerous or violent or whatever, or like not to be trusted or whatever. And so like, I love, imagine you just edit to, I want to kill a cis person. I mean, slay, you know what? Go for it. No. But like, I don't. I've noticed that in recent years, weirdly, people have felt way more emboldened to be like rabidly transphobic, and in many other ways, but in many ways homophobic. and queerphobic and deeply misogynist, and racist and and classist. What's been hard to see is like as visibility of like I guess marginalized groups increased, also the voice of our detractor, the volume of the voice of our detractors increased. It's like humiliating, not for us. It's very chic to be us, but for them, it is like humiliating and ugly, ugly vibes. I think one thing I've been thinking about a lot is like it's so easy to lose hope and to feel like everyone except us is against us. Hope is possible. And I just went on tour and we went to like 23 cities. And in my set, there's a reading from Sean Fay about being trans. It's the last page of the transgender issue. And we went to some towns near where I grew up. And I had thought, which shows like my journey to internalize fucking classism, because London's bullshit, but I had been like, oh no, I hope this is okay. I hope I'm safe in these places. And honestly, the response was beautiful and overwhelming. There is a feeling in the air too. There might be a feeling of hopelessness, and there might be loads of horrific stuff, really horrific stuff happening. Genuine, like, alarming political movements. But there is always going to be quite amazing, deeply moving responses to that. This is my bedroom. This is paintings by my friend Hattie and one by Claire Barrow, who's an amazing designer. First proofs of my second book. First Comes Love. This is what I'm reading right now, which I'm obsessed with. The Sexual Life of Catherine M. I could not recommend it more. I guess I'm trying to come to more like peace and communion with change as the central part of my identity. It's meant that I can follow my instincts more. And I just feel like the most sacred thing about my life is my queerness and my transness. And I think a lot of people are just jealous. So I feel really peaceful. But I think as a queer person, as a non-binary person, peace, like, never in my life did I think that. In fact, I used to actively approach calmness and be like, I should panic now, and like do something probably not very healthy for myself. I wrote a book about marriage because I grew up sort of obsessed with it, and then I sort of fell in love with someone who was very critical of it. And I was trying to sort of marry sort of a difference in like heart and head. You know, my heart said the romantic thing to do is get married, and my head said intellectually marriage is completely trash. And so I interviewed like so many people and who'd had different experiences of it, whether it was like divorce or polyamory or like a woman who married a ghost, Slay, she was iconic. And I came to, as any annoying person would, I came to no conclusion other than it is not just or fair, and it's also like quite ugly aesthetically and not very chic. And then a year later I got married, which is hilarious because really if you read the book it gives anti-marriage, which I am intellectually. As wedding gifts we wanted fashion, money or art, or a donation to Positive Ease, which is the charity that my husband works for, and that I do a lot with. And so we got these we were so lucky, we got some amazing pieces of art, which is like giving sort of middle class homosexual. That's a Lindsay Mendick, which is like, it's a critique. I'm not putting shrines to even Princess Diana. In terms of my approach to relationships, I am polyamorous, but I think the word is aesthetically hideous. But I'm polyamorous, and I really enjoy that. I think what I've learned the most is that like it's a much deeper exercise in trust than monogamy. Monogamy is actually, I think, speaks to I think for some people it speaks to trust, but for others it speaks to probably a bit of a lack of trust. It's kind of amazing. I really like it. Also, like, you get to have loads of sex, and I love sex, and like, I think that's the thing. We can't publish that. Seriously. From the moment I say fuck the turfs to then, you do not have my permission. But it's true.